Unity.
Unis dans la diversité, voilà un objectif bien noble, mais comment le traduire en pratique? Le 8e rapport de cohésion, qui a d'ores et déjà été mentionné, donne un aperçu des différences qui existent entre les régions, des différences multiples qui existent entre les régions et les villes. Il souligne les défis dans l'idée de cohésion. Dans la version finale du rapport, cependant, a été publiée juste avant l'éclatement de la guerre en Ukraine, qui a bien sûr apporté une dimension complémentaire à ce rapport. Se pose ainsi la question: où allons-nous maintenant? Que signifiera la cohésion après 2027? Comment la renforcer dans toutes les politiques de l'Union européenne? Quels sont les écueils? Quelles sont les potentielles zones de conflit, les opportunités et les priorités? Comment la façonner de façon plus efficace? Voilà des questions que vous aborderez au cours de ces prochains jours de cette Semaine européenne des régions et des villes. Mais pour lancer le débat, nous allons maintenant entendre plusieurs protagonistes. Et le premier que j'invite à nous faire part de ses idées est Younous Omarjee, président de la Commission du Développement Régional ici au Parlement européen. Bienvenue à vous. La parole est à vous, Monsieur Omarjee.
Merci beaucoup. Dans la suite de la présidente Roberta Metsola, je veux souhaiter la bienvenue à tous les membres du comité des régions, saluer la commissaire Elisa Ferreira et souligner l'excellente coopération qui existe entre le comité des régions, Coter et la commission Régie. Et nous sommes mobilisés évidemment vers les mêmes objectifs. Et je crois que cette unité entre les institutions européennes, Conseil européen également, Commission européenne et Parlement européen, en ces temps de crise, est extrêmement précieux. Deuxièmement, je veux rappeler que la politique de cohésion est une politique née par la solidarité des États membres et pour la solidarité. Et en ces temps de crise, et en particulier pendant la pandémie du Covid et aujourd'hui pendant la guerre d'Ukraine, nous comprenons très bien que l'Europe peut mourir par manque de solidarité et par déficit de cohésion. Et plus que jamais donc, nous avons besoin d'une politique de cohésion forte. Et plus que jamais, nous avons conscience que la politique de cohésion est une grande politique très réactive face aux crises. Personne ici, je crois, ne remettra en cause ce que nous avons accompli pendant la pandémie du Covid. Et bien sûr, je comprends cette dichotomie entre réponse d'urgence et politique de long terme. Parce qu'il est vrai que notre politique est une grande politique de long terme. Mais comprenez qu'il n'est pas possible de maintenir les grands objectifs d'une politique de long terme si nous ne réglons pas les questions d'urgence et si nous ne sommes pas au rendez-vous des crises qui se présentent devant nous. Et nous l'avons été pendant la crise du Covid et nous le sommes aujourd'hui pendant la guerre d'Ukraine. La guerre d'Ukraine, c'est d'abord l'un des plus grands mouvements de population depuis la Seconde Guerre mondiale. Et il était de la responsabilité de l'Union européenne et de notre politique de cohésion de venir en aide à la fois aux réfugiés ukrainiens, mais aussi aux régions et aux villes qui avaient à assumer l'accueil de ces réfugiés. Et puis aujourd'hui, ce sont bien sûr des impacts multiples qui sont tout à fait vertigineux et qui s'abattent dans un temps extrêmement rapide. Et là aussi, je crois que le bon dialogue entre la Commission européenne et la Commission Régie permettra, dans les semaines à venir, un certain nombre de réponses pour venir en aide aux familles les plus vulnérables, mais aussi et surtout aux collectivités, régions et communes qui ont des difficultés pour payer leurs factures énergétiques et puis, surtout, venir en aide aux petites entreprises qui sont dans un moment de très grande fragilité, de très grande insécurité. Et si nous ne prenons pas des mesures immédiates pour les petites entreprises, alors il y aura une épidémie de fermeture d'entreprises et une aggravation du chômage. Dans ce contexte-là, nous gardons des objectifs de long terme. Et je veux évoquer une question très importante pour la Commission Régie qui n'a pas été évoquée concernant le futur de la politique de cohésion, c'est la question des catastrophes naturelles. Ces catastrophes naturelles, aujourd'hui, sont devenues une donne permanente. Elles sont un facteur de déstabilisation de toute la politique régionale et nous devons nous engager beaucoup plus encore pour une véritable stratégie européenne d'adaptation au réchauffement climatique avec les moyens donnés aux régions, aux communes pour pouvoir penser le futur autrement. Merci beaucoup.
Merci à vous, Monsieur Omarjee. Emil Bock, I would like to invite you to address the audience. You're chair of the Cotter Commission, European Committee of the Regions and mayor of...
En raison du mouvement social des interprètes, nous n'accordons pas de dépassement en ce moment. Nous vous remercions.
Dear Presidents, bonjour à toutes et à tous. I will start putting it this way. The future of cohesion policy is the future of the European Union. And from my perspective, the cost of no cohesion is the cost of no Europe. As Commissioner Ferreira said, the single market cannot alone assure a balanced development of Europe. We need cohesion policy to make a balanced Europe, a balanced development, and to be sure that we have a win-win situation in every corner of the European Union. So if we are going to talk about the future of Europe, definitely we have to talk about the future of the cohesion policy. The second element would be that the cohesion policy is not a technicality. It's a very political principle of our treaties and of our union, because we cannot assure the implementation of the principles from the treaties of the European Union if we do not emphasize the importance of the cohesion policy. The third element, we have to avoid in the future the fragmentation of the cohesion policy. It's a must from my perspective in order to achieve the real aim of the cohesion policy. Is one of the oldest policies of the European Union, and it's making the difference in every corner of our Europe. We have been discussing with Commissioner Ferreira in the morning, and she mentioned, look, for Latin America, for example, and make the difference in Europe. The cohesion policy is one of the difference, which is making the difference in our world. So we have to keep our cohesion policy if we want to keep a very competitive Europe and with a quality of life in every corner of the European Union. The fourth element is that in the very moment we are a little bit late with 2021, 2027. So we are eager to work together for simplification and flexibility in order to make the difference on the ground on the implementation of the European funds. Because our citizens need to see concrete results on the ground. So if we are going to move faster, definitely we are going to be winners. And together with President Omarjee and President Cordiero and with the European Commission, we are going to work together as a COTER, as the European Committee of the Regions, to have the most successful cohesion policy in Europe for the future and for the future of Europe. Thank you.
Thank you. And next up is Radim Chaine, Mayor of the Municipality of Dolní Studenky and Deputy Minister of the Regional Development in the Czech Republic. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon. It's a great pleasure for me to represent this honorable forum, rural areas, as a proud citizen of rural areas, as a proud mayor of rural areas. And we all know that Europe starts in rural areas because everywhere we go to Europe, we come through rural areas. We also know that the 8th cohesion report shows that the rural areas are left behind. And we all know that those crises we have been facing made rural areas even more vulnerable. But on the other hand, I believe that every crisis brings opportunity, and now I feel that we have a great opportunity for the transformation of rural areas and the rural revival. But what we need to do for that. First of all, we need a new kind of approach to the rural development policies, because the rural areas need to be approached across all the funds, all the policies, all the instruments we do have. Secondly, we do need to make the rural development as a part of regional development interconnected to urban development. I'm sure that we need much more to foster the rural-urban linkages. Thirdly, we need much more to use integrated place-based approach, because we have data, we have evidence-based policies, we can tailor-make solution for each and every area in Europe, and we should use also innovative instruments like community-led local development, rule proofing, or smart villages, for example. So to sum it up, if we really want to use this opportunity for rural transformation and rural revival, we must use those instruments, and then I think our dream and our visions we have on the European level will come true, and we can move the rural areas by 20 years. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, last but not least, a young elected politician, Ilaria Capano. Welcome to you, member of the City Council of Scandicci in Italy. What do you want to share with us?
Well, thank you. As a young elected politician, I believe that our cohesion policies should now more than ever, especially after the pandemic, prioritize digital innovation. Some progress has been made, however, not enough across all European regions. There remain issues like guaranteeing equal access to internet, updating worker skills, and digitalization of businesses. Therefore, it is essential to develop for better digital infrastructure, for increased connectivity between people, workers, and businesses, leading to smarter regions. We must continue to invest in high-speed networks and 5G coverage across Europe, because greater connectivity is a necessary condition to create smarter cities and improving our lives in education at all levels, from primary school to university, at work, for private users and businesses, making it easier to adhere to bureaucracy. And let me add, if I may, as President of the Equal Gender Commission in my council, and as a young woman, that a successful cohesion policy should also lead to a more cohesive society at the micro level. European Union funds should push for a greater gender equality and guaranteeing equal pay for women, not only between women and men who undertake the same tasks, skills and studies, but also between women from different European regions. And transparency is the most efficient tool to tackle the gender pay gap. I think like investment or incentive for promoting the reskilling of women for new jobs, or promoting the right to work remotely for new parents. Because, and I conclude, 2 years of COVID have confirmed that digital access in our interconnected world is fundamentally important, and we young Europeans cannot be unprepared for this challenge.
Thank you very much, Ilaria Capano. So a lot of talking points again. Natural catastrophes should be taken into account. The importance of cohesion, the urban-rural divide should be diminished, and also a gender equality should be top of mind, as well as the digital transition should be speeded up, is what I understand is being said here, among many other things. Alejandro, how are you up there? By now, I think you must have the answers to your Slido survey on the future of the cohesion policy. Am I right?
That's right, Annelies, and sadly, now we have come to an end. But not before I give you the results of our last question. If there is one thing we could improve about cohesion policy in the future, what would it be? The most popular answer is simplification. Now, before I say goodbye, I just want to say thank you to everyone who was involved in the preparation of the Week of Regions and Cities, to you, our participants, to our guests, to everyone in here. And I wish you all a wonderful day. This is bye from me, and Annelies, what a pleasure working with you. Till next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Alejandro. Thank you very much. And me too. I liked working together. We've come to the end, almost the end. Don't go anywhere yet, just yet. Hold on. As I said, much food for thought has been provided, has been shared. Many questions have been raised. Lots of angles for discussions have been offered here for the next couple of days. To round off this session, however, I would like to invite the distinguished high-level guests here on the podium, still with us, thank you for that, to share your final remarks on what has been said here. And also, before anything else, I want to thank everyone who has spoken today for sticking to the timetable. You've made my work very easy, so thank you for that. But, final word. Let me start with you, Younous Omarjee. What do you think is of the essence of what has been said so far?
Tout d'abord, je veux vous dire que je suis très impressionné par cette plénière du Parlement européen et du Comité des régions, totalement tournée, mobilisée pour la politique de cohésion, pour sa défense et pour sa promotion. Et nous avons devant nous une bataille, la bataille que nous menons tous ici ensemble, qui concerne le devenir de la politique de cohésion et son futur. Et chacune et chacun d'entre vous êtes des ambassadeurs pour militer partout dans vos régions, partout dans vos États membres, partout dans les institutions européennes pour que nous maintenions une politique de cohésion grande et une politique de cohésion forte. Parce que tous les débats ont montré que plus que jamais, nous avons besoin d'une grande politique de cohésion pour d'abord continuer à réduire les fractures territoriales à l'échelle de l'Union européenne. Parce que notre politique de cohésion, elle concrétise la réalisation de la promesse de l'Union européenne. Elle concrétise la réalisation de la promesse de l'adhésion à l'Union européenne. Donc, continuer à réduire les fractures territoriales et puis, bien sûr, pouvoir projeter l'ensemble des régions d'Europe, l'ensemble des communes d'Europe vers les nouveaux défis qui nous attendent, la digitalisation de l'économie, on en a parlé, l'Europe beaucoup plus verte, tournée vers les objectifs climatiques, bref, une Europe tournée vers les défis du XXIe siècle. Et nous avons besoin d'un lobby, et ce lobby, il est devant nous, il est celui de l'Alliance pour la cohésion, promu par le Comité des régions. Et je crois, Comité des régions, Commission européenne, Parlement européen, nous aurons une programmation au-delà de 2027 qui, je l'espère, sera ambitieuse. Merci.
Merci beaucoup. Commissioner Elisa Ferreira, your final words on this, please.
Well, first of all, thank you to everybody that is so engaged, and I think this was a very important and very useful session of work, because we understand that we are really all united for a certain objective, and this objective is solidarity and cohesion. Secondly, maybe some figures. I don't like to quote figures, but maybe some figures will help you to have a broad, aggregated view of, for instance, what the period of cohesion that is now finishing is delivering. With 2014-2020, 1.4 million small companies were supported. It can be in capital, in special loans, in assistance. This means that more than 230,000 jobs were created in those enterprises. When we talked about climate, this support has, together with the national counterpart, reduced the equivalent to 4.4 million tons of CO2. So this is quite significant. And answering Ilaria, 5.5 million additional households were able to have broadband. And 22 million people benefited from improved health services. So this gives you a dimension of what we are doing. But I don't like these broad figures, because they have to materialize in the right and adequate policies at the level of each region, at the level of each municipality. And this is the secret of the whole thing, is to adapt, to come from the general view into the place-based, adapting to the realities. I'm very, very happy to see so many young politicians in charge, because we need their energy, we need their vision. I mean, our generation has done what we could. Some things we did right, some things we did wrong. But now it's up to them to bring forward. And of course, you've got to look very carefully at the situation of young people, at the situation of women, at the situation of elderly, and at the situation of children. Because children went through a very traumatic period. Some of them were dropped into poverty. And when you have a poverty situation as a child, it will affect you throughout your whole life. So this is also to be taken care of, and also in the sense of proportionality between the role of cities, the role of rural areas, the role of peripheral areas, the role of islands, the role of ultra-peripheral areas, so regions in transition, in industrial or other transition, and each requires a mix of policies that need to be developed through the technical and political capacity and knowledge of the leaders. But because we are aware of these difficulties and of the margin for improvement, we are starting from the Commission and DG Regio in particular, open discussion of how we can improve regional policy. We are starting this. We'll have a kind of a think tank, a very small think tank, but there will be moments to listen to all of you and to get much more than this, and I thank you for this overall impressions. Okay, we need simplification. What exactly does that mean? Where are the bottlenecks? We need more efficient policy. How to do it? So we are opening this discussion in the follow-up of the 8th Cohesion Report, and bearing in mind everything that we have been discussing here. We hope to be able to develop this work, this reflection, throughout 2023, to have by the end of 2023 kind of summing up to be offered to all of us, so that we can make the best of taxpayers' money dedicated to this European glue that keeps us together and going. So thank you very much once again.
Thank you. And last final word is for you, President Cordero, but what I hear from the Commissioner is reaching out to all of you, working together for better, even better policies. You must be happy to hear that, I imagine.
Yes, very happy. But in my final remarks, I would like to start by thanking the speakers and thanking everybody that made this session possible and makes this week possible. It's from the European Commission, from the Committee of the Regions, and of course from the European Parliament. The second message I would like is in a very specific way, but I think it's very, very important. Commissioner Ferreira introduced do no harm to cohesion principle. I think this needs to start being implemented now. So it's very simple. This territorial approach to a lot of European policy should be something that needs to be implemented, needs to be considered right now. Third, about the future and some of the ideas that Commissioner Ferreira left and some of the ideas that we are working. The Committee of the Regions is, and I think Commissioner Ferreira knows that very, very well, we are eager and interested in being part in all the efforts that can lead to discussion and a debate about the future of cohesion policy. But the future of cohesion policy starts now. And I think it's very, very important to be aware that this debate and this discussion is already in place, is already taking place. On Wednesday, I will have the opportunity as President of the Committee of the Regions to announce the launching of a new cohesion alliance for new challenges that specifically wants to address the importance of this moment and the importance of raising the awareness, of mobilizing wills, mobilizing protagonists for this fight in favor of cohesion policy. But I think we should be all aware that we cannot take the risk of preaching to the converted. It's very important that this discussion goes out of the Committee of the Region, goes out of the European Parliament, goes out of the European Commission. Because as we've seen today, I don't think the need to convince anyone of the importance of the cohesion policy lies here in the session or in the organizations that make part of the session. The need to convince others of the importance of the cohesion policy lies, for example, in national governments, in the public that needs to see that speaking of cohesion policy is speaking about Europe itself. But I think we will succeed. I think everybody here is mobilized and eager to convince the ones that are not still convinced that cohesion policy equals this European dream, equals this European ambition. It's the way to achieve it. And it's not a question of conviction, of believing. It's a question of looking to proofs, looking at evidence, looking of what European cohesion policy has already been able to achieve, and thinking of how much more it can achieve considering the current challenges we are facing. I would like to conclude with this word of confidence, of profound conviction that we are in the right track of history, in the right track of fulfilling our founding fathers' dream about a Europe that is built and unite in diversity. And the way to do that is through cohesion policy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I would like to thank indeed Regi Chair Younous Omarjee, Commissioner Elisa Ferreira and Co-President Vasco Cordeiro. Thank you very much for starting this discussion for the next few days, because yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of what's happening here, this plenary session in the European Parliament for here and now. But as I said, it's only the beginning really for all of you, for the discussions and the debates during the EU Regions Week. From me, I can only say that I wish you fruitful discussions and exchanges. Thank you for being here, joining in, and goodbye.